Okay. Wait a minute. What's happening? Why is it so loud? Why is it why is it Sounds better now? Sounds better now? A little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, there we go. Okay. So, due to recent drama, I'll call it, where just a tip. Due to by the way, my girlfriend is moving in, and that's why things are looking. Why are you sagging? Sagging worse than my ball sack. Too far down. Too far down. Come on. Come on. Just lock it in. Okay. There we go. Just lock it in. Okay. There we go. There we go. Like I said, my girlfriend is moving in next weekend, so I am getting the place ready for her. That's why things are different right now. Oh, hey viewer. Yeah, so during the week I'll be moving or I'll be cleaning up the place. She'll be moving in next week, and I don't know how the stream is gonna look after that. I can't have this set up because she's gonna sleep here as well, and that's gonna make things hard for me to, be at the computer at the same time as she's sleeping sometimes. So I'm gonna be outside in the hallway, and that's gonna create some other problems, but at least I won't disturb her while she's maybe sleeping. Yeah. Oof, I'm sweaty. Yeah, I've been at the. What's it called in English? Tippen. The where you throw things away. What the fuck is that called in English? The dump. Of course. Crude American or English. The dump. Throwing away my old, really large, really kind of ugly, but I liked it, desk. So now I am using a kitchen table at the moment while I wait for her to move in, and then we're gonna buy some new furniture, and I'm also gonna include a new computer desk. My old desk was an office desk more than a computer desk, but it was really big, so that's why I liked it. I like big things. As does my girlfriend, so I don't know why she's with me. But yeah, due to recent drama not included in my life, mostly surrounding Vosh, Destiny, is there anyone else? Well, yeah, Sanderhall. So those three people have been attacked because they're debate bros. I don't know what this aversion to debate really is. It's a strange way to I don't know. It's a strange wait. My God. It's really strange to me that people are attacking debates carte blanche. Like, if they attacked Vaush in and of himself and critiqued his style of debate, sure, you can do something there. Or Sanderhall, or Destiny, or, though I don't see him as a debate bro, Hassan, Shark, all these people. You can critique how they debate if you want to. If it's not your style, if you don't think the right type of people will get over based on it. But you can't critique debate as a whole, in my opinion. However, that's just my opinion. But all I've heard from these DJ Mule, what's this called? Somil? Whatever his name is. All of these people, they critique debate carte blanche, which is really strange to me. Really strange. So, I thought I'd start with, let me just see here. I don't want anything to start. I thought I'd start, I have to stop autoplay on this. I thought I'd start with this. Sarah Z. Why debating sucks according to a competitive debater. We might get back to that. I haven't watched this. I don't pre-watch. I try not to pre-watch, at least. I'll do a critique of a debate later. I'll try a critique. Because I watched the first, 5 minutes and thought, oh no, here we have some critique that can be made. But before that, I want to listen to this video and see if I agree or not.
This video is brought to you by CuriosityStream. Get access to CuriosityStream and my streaming service Nebula when you sign up using the link in my description.
Why is it lagging?
Sarah Z. If you've ever been on the internet,
Oh, she's Canadian.
Any kind of opinion at all, you've probably had some commenter you've never met before demand you debate them and prove your worth in the free marketplace of ideas. And if you've ever been on YouTube and followed your recommended tab for a couple videos, you've probably landed on some kind of streamed or televised debate, often with millions of views and provocative titles. Our society places a lot of value on free and public debate. Part of our emphasis on this, I think, comes from our romanticized ideas of the ancient Greek parliamentary system where people would come together and debate various policy and philosophy topics for hours on end. This idealized concept of a democrat...
Let me start with this. I like her presentation style. It's quick, it's poignant, it's giving you some background. It's a good intro, at least. And yes, all classic philosophers would 100% be debate bros today. 100%. Plato would fucking crush it on YouTube today. Holy shit.
and facts-based approach to policy founded upon healthy discussion is the same idea upon which many people now base their ideas of public discourse. Debates are considered integral to determining who should represent a country as its president or prime minister. Many popular public intellectuals are lauded for their ability to debate one another, and one public figure refusing or ignoring a request to debate another is considered by many evidence that they're afraid of their beliefs being challenged.
For good measure, in my opinion. For good measure. If you're a public figure, yeah, you need to be able to speak about your ideas, because being a public figure is not just about or not public, a politician, a public politician. Being a politician don't just mean you have to be able to craft good policies or bills or something. It also means, or can also mean at least, being able to convey more people onto your side, being able to spread your message. Take AOC, for example. She's not a stellar bill writer. She doesn't go down there. She hasn't filled out 500 different bills, and she gets a lot of critique for this. I don't care about that. That's not her role, in my opinion. Her role is to spread the message, to convince people, to be a mouthpiece for progressivism in Congress. That's how I view AOC. Now, then we have people who are better at crafting bills. But usually, I think those people can probably be staffers rather than politicians. I rather have my politicians be able to convince people why their positions are better. That's my opinion.
This is particularly interesting to me since, besides making video essays, I'm also a competitive university debater. For the last 2 years, I was the president of my university's debate society, and I'm now in an administrative role in my country's national debate organization. I'm just gonna say right now, I love it. Within my university debate society, part of my job is to train novices to win debates, and I've both competed in and judged in a lot of competitions across the country. It's interesting because the kind of debate I experience in a competitive setting is very different than the kind I see popularized online. It's kind of like the difference between going to a fencing tournament and sword fighting a stranger behind a Denny's at 3 a.m. The way debates are considered by many people to be this ultimate determiner of someone's objective correctness is a little concerning to me as someone who's won a good number of debates arguing for things that are, frankly, absolutely terrible ideas. In this video,
you have a professional, can you really, a competitive debating, ludicrous idea, by the way, completely asinine idea. I don't think you can be a competitive debater, really. Not really. That's not what in my opinion, where debate shines. And she's correct in her analogy here about fencing versus pretty much a brawl. The two can't really be compared. If you're a fencer and you find yourself in a duel, odds are you're gonna lose because you will have muscle memory. Well, I'm not gonna lose. Lose is a bit much, perhaps. You might do well against a novice, against someone who is untrained at least, but against someone who has trained in brawling, in more street fighting, you're gonna lose 100%. Yeah, there's no question about it at all.
So I want to talk about a few things. First of all,
oh my god, it's 31 minutes. I just saw that. Okay. We're gonna speed it up and I'm gonna pause less. I don't even know if this is gonna be relevant to what I want to talk about. I'm gonna have to see.
I want to talk about what we can actually garner about a person from watching them debate, and then I'm going to make my case as to why most of what we currently consider debating probably shouldn't be happening in its present form. Finally, I'm going to talk about the positives we can take from doing debating as a whole.
Okay.
Watching someone debate is so interesting because I think how someone debates says a lot about them as a person. Do they wait their time to speak or do they speak over others? How do they respond when asked a difficult question? Is their rhetoric focused mostly on the arguments at hand or do they try to change the topic when things get dicey? What I don't think you can do in a debate is how correct someone is. I mean, if you're debating a truism like do squirrels have 8 legs, pretty much no amount of flashy verbal tricks is going to make you sound correct.
Oh my god, I want to pause it. She's absolutely correct here. Oh my god, I assumed I was going to disagree with her more than I am. But yeah, debate is not about being able to convey truth or something like that. It can, in a kind of a weird way, like I used to be a, what do you call it, true scum, where a true scum is someone who believes in you have to be gender dysphoric in order to be trans. I've since shed that belief because I started watching Vosh, and he correctly says that, yeah, gender is a social construct, and if it's a social construct, then who the fuck cares? And after hearing that a few times, and after seeing some of his debate, I'm like, yeah, he's kind of correct. So I don't agree that it can't lead you to truth. It depends on how you define truth, I guess.
But when it comes to policy debates or contentious topics, a good rhetorician can make any variety of ideas sound convincing. If the argument is like, should we ban people over 65 from
Sophistry.
voting, you can probably invoke a lot of fancy tricks discussing the future of humanity and long-term decision-making that sound really great and convincing in theory, even though in real life we're talking about taking people's human rights away. Conversely, if someone is arguing against a really bad idea, but they're not super experienced with being put on the spot and they're stumbling over their words and can't immediately find the best answer to a question, they're probably not going to seem very convincing, even if in actuality their ideas are completely correct. Another thing I think is worth mentioning is that when it comes to debates with an audience, the goal is generally not to try to convince the person you're debating with so much as another third party, like the public or a judge. I mean, if it's just you and your friend discussing the merits of like The Last Jedi, you might be trying to change each other's minds, but for the most part, no one in like a presidential debate is suddenly going to stop and say something like, you know what, that's actually a really good point, I've changed my mind. Similarly, in formal competitive debates, you have a panel of judges you need to convince, and no matter how swayed by your opponent's arguments you are, you need to stick to your own. What these two facts together mean is that public debates generally aren't about convincing people of your arguments through factual correctness and logic.
Yeah.
Rather, televised and streamed debates are a sort of public pageantry. Your goal is generally less so to be right so much as to look right. Of course, in an
Again, I'm gonna pause it. And this is my main critique of all the essay. Can we call them essay bros? I'm gonna call them essay bros. This is my critique of all essay bros. Essay bros. Okay, I'm sorry. They assume you're trying to convince the person you're talking to, when in reality you're trying to convince their audience. Now, in reverse, it's possible that that person is able to convince your audience, which is why, like I believe Vosh has done, he has successfully actually created a culture where he is allowed to be critiqued, but his audience isn't prone to listening all that much, or listening is the wrong word. His audience isn't prone to believe the people he's debating. They won't take their word for whatever they say. Unlike, say, Dave Rubin, whenever he has someone on in the marketplace of ideas, his audience is prone to believing the person that Dave has on his show, because that's his goal, pretty much. Now, Vosh's goal isn't that, so he regularly talks about these issues with his audience. He prunes his audience from members who fall on the he allows people who are on the right side, but he doesn't allow them to spread their vile messages. And that, I think that's a crucial distinction here. Let's continue.
an ideal situation, you can be both. You can have the most correct arguments while still sounding the most persuasive. But those two things aren't mutually inclusive. You can and do often have one without the other. That doesn't mean we can't learn anything from watching someone debate. How someone conducts themselves in this public setting is still very telling. This is especially true when it comes to presidential and parliamentary debates. They're a good way to tell how someone responds to situations of disagreement, how they handle tough questions under pressure, and how they balance assertiveness and diplomacy, and debates can do this in a way that other settings, like controlled interviews and rallies, can't, by introducing a degree of accountability and unpredictability. I think this is a valid enough reason to have these debates in and of itself, so long as they're understood for what they are, and winning one isn't treated as synonymous with being right. But how about when we're not talking about figures we need
Yeah,
to decide whether
I
or not to
agree.
elect into public office? What about, for example, public intellectuals debating one another on the best economic system, or YouTubers having live stream debates about representation on TV? If debates are mostly representative of someone's argumentative skills and ability to handle stressful situations, and not whether or not that person is right, how do these debates influence our idea of public discourse? Personally, as someone who's done a lot of debate and has invested years of time and energy into the topic, I think this kind of public discourse is not necessarily useful. I mean, also, they just make debaters look bad, and it's really embarrassing for us. In the debate world, it's mostly treated as
Wait.
debates in and of itself, so long as they're understood for what they are, and winning one isn't treated as synonymous with being right.
Yes.
But how about when we're not talking about figures we need to decide whether or not to elect into public office? What about, for example, public intellectuals debating one another on the best economic system, or YouTubers having live stream debates about representation on TV? If debates are mostly representative of someone's argumentative skills and ability to handle stressful situations, and not whether or not that person is right, how do these debates influence our idea of public discourse? Personally, as someone who's done a lot of debate and has invested years of time and energy into the topic, I think this kind of public discourse is not necessarily useful. I mean, also, they just make debaters look bad, and it's really embarrassing for us. In the debate
What?
this kind of public discourse is not necessarily useful. As someone who's done a lot of debate and has invested years of time and energy into the topic, I think this kind of public discourse is not necessarily useful. I mean, also, they just make debaters look bad, and it's really embarrassing for us. In the debate world, it's mostly treated as a kind of sport, a way to practice your argumentative and critical thinking skills. Winning a debate about a certain topic doesn't signal to anyone present that that says anything about the topic's objective correctness. But when society places an intense importance on these debates and on using them as a measure of an idea's merits, harmful effects can quickly take hold.
Okay. I think what she's saying, she's not. It sounds like she says that all online debates are performative only. I don't agree with that at all. I think maybe, I mean, this was 3 years ago, so things have changed. And I agree with her that prior to this, most debates were a lot of performative. I never watched Destiny. He might have been the one exception to this, though I don't think he is any longer. But yeah, I mostly watch Vosh. I'm gonna be an orbiter here. That's just gonna be, let me just be an orbiter for this moment, okay? I know Vosh doesn't just treat debating as performative, as a way of honing your rhetorical skills. He treats it as honing his audience's rhetorical skills. And I think that's a very important thing. Being able to debate your friends or coworkers, or just being able to identify bad arguments, can be a really good life skill to have. You can, okay, if you happen to have, because it's been a debate for so long now, especially on Vosh's channel, if you have a coworker who's transphobic, being able to dismantle their arguments, granted in a less aggressive manner, perhaps you have to tailor the manner to the setting. Yeah, you're gonna be able to succeed much better if you've listened to Vosh, in my opinion. I'm not trans at all. I used to be a true scum. I'm no longer. I can confidently now argue about trans issues better than I could before, because I believe I am more correct now as well. So I don't agree with her here that it's just performative because it's on YouTube and it makes competitive debaters look bad. You know what makes competitive debaters look bad? Competitive debaters. Boobs. Hello, call me Chris. Okay. There's some boobs there if you want. Competitive programming debate. Um, come on. Where is it? Really? Maybe that one will suffice. Competitive baiting is very much Harvard. Maybe that. There was this video going around during the Gamergate days where competitive debaters they spoke at 200 words per minute, just spewing out facts or factoids at least. And the goal of the debate was just to have the other team not being able to catch up. If you spew 100 facts and they can only refute 99 of those during their allotted time, you've won because they couldn't refute one of those facts. Congratulations. And you spoke so fast you couldn't hear what they said. Horrible. And then they were singing. I remember there was some singing involved. And there were... God, I so wish... Can we do funny? Could this be?
So you're
author to do the alternative because fuck them, that's what.
awesome.
No. Oh, here. So... Yeah, this is...
There's no
isn't gonna be
arguing
good.
it. Towson University's debate team wins, claiming an historic win. Ruffin, pick your...
That queer bodies are not able to survive, that it necessarily means that the body of the nigga is not able to survive.
We got the topic in about July, and we started doing our research then.
And when the nigga sees these pains and suffering, that he can only envision himself, that he does not see another nigga that he can feel sympathy for or embrace, but rather that otherness gets obliterated.
And we've been supplementing our research throughout the season.
Man, photogenic object, disfigured, lynch, and trauma enough. The insight, the trauma representation is central to the black child, devouring and identifying with the stories and images the white culture brought up to think and act subjectively like a white man, the black man.
So where do you go from there? You know, when you start preparing
A lot of
Forcing other bodies to tell narrations of what
to prepare tournament,
the child eyes on and
able to respond
black trauma
and
is not truly speak this
else that another team that
to be.
you think we got this?
Before
Yeah.
death is eternity, after death is eternity, there is no death, there's only eternity, and I be riding the wings of eternity like, yeah, yeah, yeah! She clack, clack. But see, my flight doesn't go undisturbed because time makes dreams deferred. And on my time,
I don't
turn
mind
my days
this
to daymare,
as much.
my nightmares returning my past. She clack, clack. The nigga got time beating my ass. And y'all, I be having dreams of chocolate covered watermelons, fried with filled chicken like pinatas, with little picking sons and daughters sitting dumping them with big sticks of aluminum foil, hitting them trying to catch the pieces of all the fried chicken wings. And Aunt your mom and Uncle Ben are standing in the corner.
Now, I have no idea what he's talking about at all. Chocolate covered watermelons. Sounds delicious, by the way. I don't mind this as much. This is cool. This, I hate this. And it's not their fault, because they are just following the rules of engagement. It's like there was this guy who won a kickboxing tournament, and he'd never kickboxed in his life. And all he did was just read the rules. And he's realized that the rules said if you push someone out of the ring 3 times, they'll lose. And the ring in kickboxing is you don't have a fence or anything to brace yourself against. It's an open field with a ring, like sumo wrestling. And he realized this, so he just went into a tournament and pushed people out of the ring. And that way, he won. he won by default. So next year, and he became, I believe he became the world champion. World champion kickboxer, push. Oh yeah, Andrew Tate. Oh my god. Is it this one? No. Scandal? Oh my god. Okay. No, okay, I can't find it. I'm not. My Google Fu isn't that great while on camera. Anyway, they're just following the rules of engagement. It's not their fault. It's just competitive debating is bad, in my opinion.
Many people will watch a clip of someone destroying or annihilating certain viewpoints in a debate and conclude from that that viewpoint has just been proven objectively invalid, and to me, that's kind of concerning. That's not to say good, well-handled, and quality public debates don't exist. Certainly, I think they do. Unfortunately, though, I think they kind of make up a minority of what we're seeing right now, which is why I would advise anyone to be extremely careful if they're either planning on watching a debate between public figures or if they're being asked to debate someone. While this isn't universally true, and I'll get back to that later, I think there are often better ways to critically engage with these ideas than the public debate format. I want to give you examples of how these debates between public figures can affect public discourse in ways that are useless at best and actively damaging at worst. First, I want to give you an example of how the public performance of debate can empower people with persuasive rhetoric but flimsy arguments even when they are in the wrong. And then I'm going to give you an example of how even when you're in the right and you win the debate, you can still end up wasting your time or platforming harmful ideas if you're not very careful. I'd also like to clarify that I do support very discussion with people I don't agree with. Many of my friends have very different perspectives than I do, and if I know someone is acting in good faith and trust them to be as respectful as I'll be, I'm usually happy to sit down and have a conversation with them. Of course, there are certain ideas that I don't personally think should be treated as debatable in any way. Should we be doing more hate crimes isn't a real question, and I'm not going to be friends with you if you think people should be persecuted on the basis of who they are. But I think, barring those extremes, having conversations with people you disagree with is healthy for a variety of reasons. When I say we shouldn't be having this many public debates and treating them as measures of moral or argumentative correctness, I'm not talking about personal discussions. I'm talking about the publicized pageantry of debating, where the primary goal is to convince onlookers and the main focus is not on finding common ground, but on winning. I don't think this is a healthy way to engage in public discourse, and I hope to articulate why. When a lot of people are asked nowadays to name people they consider particularly influential debaters, a lot of names that come up are associated with the intellectual dark web. Basically, a group of personalities like Jordan Peterson, Charlie Kirk, or Ben Shapiro, who brand themselves on intellectual debate and on the tenet that their ideas are being silenced in the mainstream. According to this philosophy, there are certain ideas that some people are hesitant to discuss out of fear, causing significant damage to academic spaces. But not these guys. Not these very smart and brave good boys. Rather, their aim is supposedly to dismantle dominant narratives in these spaces, which in practice usually just means not calling trans people by their pronouns, and they aim to do so through public debate. A lot of these people rose to prominence at least partially from clips of themselves taking down or destroying the arguments of various naysayers, most of whom are not debaters themselves. And it works wonders. Ben Shapiro in particular has made a career largely on the back of videos of himself destroying college snowflakes. Now, I'm about to be critical of Ben Shapiro, but I do want to emphasize, as I try to do in all of my videos where I criticize individuals, that I'm using this guy as an example of a broader societal problem. He is not the only person who exemplifies these issues, and if we woke up tomorrow and Ben Shapiro had magically poofed out of existence, this would still be a problem. I don't want this video to be considered a response to any one person so much as an exploration of a broad societal issue.
Okay, so this mentality is part of the problem. Why... Oh, her hair is dipping into her coffee. This mentality is part of the problem as to why the dark, intellectual dark web rose to prominence as it did. Because leftists didn't debate their ideas. And as she rightfully pointed out, in the public, being able to debate your ideas is very important for the public's view. If you can't speak about your ideas around people who disagree with you, even if those ideas, or even if the people who disagree with you hold vile ideas, I don't care how good your ideas are. I don't care how correct your ideas are. They will never be popular. That's my view on it all. Because Ben Shapiro, he will travel around the globe, I was going to say, but around America. He's never been to Europe. Please. He's never going to debate this, debate liberals in Israel. There's no chance. Instead, he travels around America and he debates college people who are not debaters. We have debaters now. Let us use them.
With that said, I think Ben Shapiro is a really great example of why sounding rhetorically smooth in a debate does not necessarily equal strong arguments. However, because we as members of the public tend to have a lot of trust in the process of a debate and view it as an essential part of a healthy democracy, sounding good in a debate can make people like Ben Shapiro seem like trustworthy figures to a lot of people. What's interesting to me is...
And teaching people, like debaters do, teaching people how to debate your ideas from a left-wing point of view is going to be really helpful. Because you're going to sound smarter and you're going to sound more correct. Now, like she said, this isn't how we arrive at the correct positions, but it is how we convey them. And I think she's missing that.
The fact that when you search up Ben Shapiro debate on YouTube, the top results are, with a couple exceptions, almost exclusively him, A, debating random university students and not other journalists with a similar level of prestige, and B, not formal moderated debates where both parties are given equal time to speak and rebut one another, but rather digressions from Shapiro's speeches, in which he always has the last word and can speak over the others at any time. I've been to a lot of debate tournaments, and basically the way bracketing works is that after each round, they try to pair you with a team that's won the same number of rounds that you have, so you can be fairly matched with a competitive opponent. The first round is pretty random though, so you do end up with a lot of unequal matches. Some of my friends who have been debating for over a decade have gotten matched up with people who have never even been to a debate tournament before in round one, and unsurprisingly, end up beating them pretty definitively. What I have never seen is any seasoned debater genuinely get excited about beating a novice. Generally speaking, you want to beat people who are equal or better debaters than you because it signifies growth and it's personally satisfying. Beating someone with no formal debate training doesn't actually mean you're a good debater, it just means you've been matched with an unskilled opponent. What Ben Shapiro does is effectively the debate equivalent of an average quality sprinter exclusively challenging children to races where he gets extra time and then going, look, but I won most of these matches, I must be the greatest player of all time. This is further evidenced by the fact that when Shapiro does engage with actual journalists and people his own age, he tends not to fare very well. Take Shapiro's interview with journalist Andrew Neil pertaining to his new book. Neil pointed out numerous examples of Ben Shapiro contributing to and benefiting from a culture of anger and personal attacks, despite the fact that Shapiro's book blamed the left for public discourse becoming less civil. As the interview continued and Neil kept bringing up more and more quotes, many of which Shapiro still stood by, Ben Shapiro quickly became more and more flustered. He then accused Neil, a hardline conservative, of being a leftist before resorting to personal insults and cutting the interview short. Shapiro himself later acknowledged that he wasn't properly prepared for Neil's comments, leading him to lose the debate, but followed up that acknowledgement with an article claiming the majority of those quotes were either taken out of context or were things that were completely true that liberals just didn't like. This is interesting to me because Shapiro is clearly capable of understanding that sounding the most eloquent and rhetorically correct in a debate does not actually mean that your position is the correct one. Similarly, losing a debate does not mean you're wrong. The fact that he's linked to a website effectively saying, listen, I lost a debate on this matter because I wasn't ready, but I'm still right about it, is evidence enough. What's interesting to me is that he doesn't hold debates where he supposedly wins to this standard. Owning an 18-year-old who didn't go to law school and wasn't trained in argument while you have the mic and most of the speaking time and only allow that 18-year-old to contribute to the conversation when it personally benefits you is extremely easy. You can do it with like any topic. That does not mean that you are actually correct, and it does not mean that you are a good debater. But the fact that Ben Shapiro continues to make destroying college cucks or whatever a significant part of his brand signifies that not only...
I don't disagree with anything here.
He seems to think winning them makes him
at
correct.
all.
But even more so than this, even in these conversations with 18-year-old college students, Ben Shapiro is still not actually a good debater. I mean, he imitates the aesthetics of what he thinks good debating is, he talks very quickly for long amounts of time and only allows his opponents to cut in when it benefits him. But these aesthetic flares are not a substitute for rationality or logical consistency, and he fails on these fronts repeatedly. In an actual competitive debate, each team has exactly the same amount of time to speak. You can't cut into or interrupt anyone's speech without their explicit permission, and each person has a designated time and space to say exactly what they want to say without being interrupted. A lot of novice debaters will also imitate this.
When debating a dishonest person is not good at all. Allowing Ben Shapiro to speak uninterruptedly for 5 minutes, you don't want that. If you can control the flow of the conversation, you want more of a back and forth on that one. Unfortunately, a lot of these people, like we've seen in debates, or online debates, a lot of these people are going to call you dishonest or whatever for interrupting them when they try to spew nonsense, and you want to call them out on it. But giving a quick quip, I remember Secular Talk, Kyle Kalinske. He said he debated, I believe it was who was that? Was that Charlie Kirk? Kyle Kalin. I am typing like this. That's why I'm doing all the theirs because I have the mic stand is here, and I can do this. Okay. Kalinske versus Charlie Kirk. Yeah. Okay. Here, I remember seeing this, and I think Kyle Kalinske did a fantastic job. It's a more of a more of a structured format. But what Kyle Kalinske did here, and yeah, it is post-Trump. He did the same thing that Trump did. When Hillary was speaking, just saying wrong or you're lying, just a quick quip. That might be all you need to prime the audience that what they are saying shouldn't be listened to. And then when it's your turn, you can delve deeper into it. But structured debate like she's talking about is fantastic for honest actors, people who are, I don't know, debating on topics they are not themselves holding as truth necessarily. You're giving a topic and a position, and then you have to argue it as best as you can. That's what competitive debating is. We're not doing that at all.
Shapiro aesthetic at first. They'll talk as quickly as possible to make it hard for their opponents to use their time effectively. They'll try to change the topic to make defending their side easier on them, and they'll address only their opponent's weakest arguments while ignoring their strongest. Oftentimes, these novices who may or may not have debated in high school will go to their first university tournament thinking they have everything they need to win each round, and oftentimes they get a pretty rude awakening when they don't place particularly well. Any judge worth their salt will quickly steer them in the right direction, and most learn pretty quickly that you actually need to address your opponent's strongest arguments with logically consistent rebuttals. Watching Ben Shapiro debate reminds me of these novices, but because he's not a real debater and these aren't real debates, there's no external figure to point out that his arguments are inconsistent and aren't particularly strong. I'm going to use a specific video of his to showcase my arguments here, and I chose this video to be fair to Ben Shapiro. The video has mostly positive comments, a pretty good like to dislike ratio, and Shapiro himself seems pretty proud of it. It's not considered one of his worst moments, it's considered pretty par for the course for him. It's a pretty average example of the kind of debates he engages in the regular, which is why I chose it. So, throughout this video, he makes a lot of
I don't disagree with this either. Ben Shapiro is a shit debater. I remember the God, I'm shit with names. Fuck. The waterfront property. Like, oh, when the sea levels rises, you can just sell the house. Sell it to who, Ben? Sell it to who? Or is it whom? Who cares? Whom cares?
bad points that get cheers, mostly because they sound like quick, snappy zingers, not because they're well thought out arguments. Let's just look at one clip of Shapiro destroying a student regarding trans issues.
Because for all of human history, boy meant boy and girl meant girl. Boy did not mean girl. And if I call you a moose, are you suddenly a moose? Okay, if I redefine our terms. No, yes, that's right. Men and women are a completely different thing. This is true. Have you ever met a man or a woman? They're completely different.
Here's one example of what I'm talking about. The student Ben Shapiro is debating is criticizing him for not accepting trans people as the gender they say they are. Ben Shapiro responds by asking her if we should claim someone as a moose because they identify as one. She says that's completely different, and he responds with, exactly, men and women are completely different, and then moves on without addressing her point. This moment in particular strikes me as really disingenuous because surely Ben Shapiro and his audience know that when she says that's completely different, she wasn't talking about the difference between men and women. She was talking about the difference between being transgender and identifying as a moose. Notably, one of these things is a social role where what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman have differed across various cultural and historical lines, and many times were not divided in the same biological binary that Ben Shapiro claims they were. Simply looking at any culture with a historical third gender is evidence enough of this. The same cannot be said for identifying as a moose. Instead of addressing in any meaningful way the argument that
Notice that she's essentially essay bros are turn-based debaters. That's not my analogy. I saw someone else comment this, but I'm stealing it. I'm stealing that shit. That's mine now, okay? Essay bros are turn-based debaters. They will not engage one-on-one with you, but they will research and do heavy editing, scripting and all that. But it is a debate. it is a debate, and you can't deny that.
That identifying as trans is not the same
And that's
thing
what
as
she's
identifying
doing
as
here.
cis.
She's
Shapiro
debating,
literally misinterpreted her point and then
in this
kept going.
case, Ben
What's
Shapiro.
frustrating is that while he never addresses her argument, the next thing he does, repeatedly asking her why aren't you 60 and interrupting her when she tries to reiterate the point she was trying to make, is the exact same type of tactic that Shapiro decries as intellectually dishonest and not allowing him to make his point when interviewers do it to him. Almost as if he knows his tactic of debating isn't remotely about having the most correct arguments, but is instead about making the other party seem foolish and implementing as many dishonest tactics as possible to do so.
Why aren't you 60? Why aren't you 60? And why can't you identify as 60? What is the problem with you identifying as 60? You're right. Age is significantly less important than gender.
Even then, his argument is not particularly good. Citing age as something biologically determined that has no roots in society or culture is not a very good argument when I'm 21 in Canada but 22 in Korea. Sure, how many years someone has been alive on the planet is a biological thing, but how we choose to categorize it and make laws based on those years is social. Being alive for, say, 15 years in some places means you can drive a car, and in some places means you can't. Kind of like gender, our systems of categorization are indeed dependent on historical and cultural context and aren't the same everywhere. But repeatedly bombarding someone with why aren't you 60 isn't a good foundation for starting.
It's kind of like day and night. Light and dark. No, day and night. No, new days. That's what I'm thinking of. I believe Vikings determined that the day started after sundown, while in the modern world, we define it based on the clock. Neither of these are better or worse. Both of them are just social constructs. However, the day-night cycle that determines a new day is physics. It's something we can define, or not define, something we can study, something that we can understand beyond our culture. Kind of like age. How we define it when you're an adult or a teenager or whatever, kid, infant. All of these are social constructs, but the determining factor is still biological. At least in the modern world. I'm sure there are examples in prehistoric societies of cultures where adulthood and stuff. Kings is probably a good example of this. Kings became adults at age 3 in some cases, comparatively. Today, we wouldn't allow a 3-year-old to become king. That would be absurd, because that's an adult role. But in history, not even prehistoric history, history shows us that this happens. They were thrusted upon an adult world at a young age. Here in Sweden, our king technically became king to be, I guess you can call it, quite young. I don't remember exact age, but he was in his, I believe, early teens, and his uncle ruled in his place until he became 18, and then he could assume the throne. But yeah, so even age age is a social construct in some ways.
Starting an actual good faith discussion about.
Oh, and trust me, I would not have been able to make that, been able to articulate this if I didn't listen to Vaugh's debate. Let me just preface that.
Difference between biological realities and sociocultural categorization, and Shapiro knows this. He's not trying to be right. He's trying to win. I mean, he himself has said that the only reason he would ever debate someone is to verbally humiliate them, and the emphasis on winning that public debate places on these exchanges doesn't exactly help, especially when you can win without actually being correct. And besides bad arguments, when we do get into cold hard facts, he's not correct about those either.
The idea behind the transgender movement as a civil rights movement is the idea that all of their problems would just go away if I would pretend that they were the sex to which they claim membership. That's nonsense. The transgender suicide rate is 40%. It is 40%. And according to the Anderson School at UCLA, it makes no difference. There's a study that came out last year. It makes no difference, virtually no difference statistically speaking, as to whether people recognize you as a transgender person or not.
At one point, he brings up the fact that the trans community has a disproportionately high suicide rate, claiming that it has nothing to do with how trans people are treated and everything to do with that being trans is somehow intrinsically linked to suffering. The study he cites, suicide attempts among transgender and gender nonconforming adults, does find that 41% of trans people attempt suicide. Shapiro also claims that, according to the study, whether or not trans people are accepted as their gender has no relationship to their suicide rate and that he cannot find any study that suggests this is true. This is debunked in literally the very first page of the study he cites, which finds that trans people who experience rejection, discrimination, harassment, or social isolation had a significantly higher prevalence of suicide rates than those who did not report experiencing those things. Literally,
Of course.
this was in the summary on the very first page. There is no way you could have missed it. Later on in the study, they also found that people who reported that strangers could not tell that they were transgender had a far lower suicide rate than the average, almost like there's something about how people are treated when others recognize that they're trans that makes them more likely to attempt suicide. The suicide rate was also significantly lower for participants who reported that their families accepted them after they came out. Shapiro is telling a bald-faced lie here, but the problem is that unless that student was expected to whip out her phone in the middle of the argument in Google and read the whole study, there's no way for Shapiro to be fact-checked on this, even if he did let her speak. The way Shapiro primarily engages with ill-prepared students, calls these speeches debates, and then revels in the success he gets from these videos being labeled as like, Shapiro destroys college snowflakes while embarrassing himself in conversations with actual adults is frustrating in and of itself, but the fact that even with this massive advantage of him having the most speaking time and no one being able to call him on his statements right then and there, he's still clearly not making logically consistent arguments is honestly kind of sad. But even more than that, it's evidence of how engaging in debate with people who appear to be skillful rhetoricians but still espouse inaccurate and harmful beliefs can screw you over and make you out to be a ridiculous person, even if you're completely right. Getting flustered in a public forum happens. Most people are not trained debaters, and being interrupted or spoken over can be jarring and frustrating. But in this type of informal debate where looking fancy trumps logical arguments, a lack of immediate witty retorts or ability to fact-check can make you seem unconvincing regardless of the facts. The fact that losing a debate has little to do with your actual correctness, yet losing a debate can harm your credibility in the eyes of onlookers, constitutes a good reason to seriously consider avoiding these types of public discussions. But I think a lot of people seeing this will just say, well, okay, that's all well and good if you don't know how to debate or if you get flustered easily, but that's not the case for me. I know I could destroy these people's arguments if given the chance, and I just want to prove it. So I think it's
Yeah, you need practice. You need good practice. Training with your friends who themselves are, or colleagues or classmates or whatever, who themselves are not professional debaters like Ben Shapiro is not going to help you at all. At all. You actually need to debate people who debate professionally for a while to be able to debate higher profile people who debate professionally.
also worth looking at what happened.
Like, okay, again, allow me to be an orbiter. Allow me to be an orbiter just for a moment. Vaush versus Charlie Kirk couldn't have gone as well as it did, where he absolutely annihilated Charlie Kirk. It wouldn't have gone as well just a year, 2 years prior at all. No shot, no way. Jose. Being able to debate at that level, being able to know, it's like, okay, I'm streaming. I have at the moment 0 viewers. So thank you for that. Thank you. Being able to be charismatic on stream, to be quippy, to be able to speak in a pace that's conducive for streaming, being able to think in a way where you don't stumble upon your words in a live setting like this. It takes time. It takes skill. You just have to push through the awkward beginning, and then you get good enough where hopefully you do get some viewers at least. And the same goes with debate. In the beginning, you're not going to do as well as a few years down the line. It's just practice make perfect.
Even when you win these kinds of debates, and how even when the right side comes out on top, it doesn't necessarily translate to the changing of hearts and minds that we want it to. Before we get to this topic, I just want to talk about something fun for a minute. Are you a fan of Dungeons & Dragons? What about Dungeons & Dragons
I am
podcasts?
not.
What about just like me, generally,
No.
as a person? Maybe you're a fan of one of those things, but are not a fan
I haven't
of the other, or
watched
maybe
you,
you're curious
but
about the
you're
other.
charismatic.
Well, like, I have an offer for you, and that offer is that you should listen to Trials and Trebuchets, which is a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons podcast featuring me and some of my
Okay,
friends.
if you like
So
it.
I have a lot of fun with it.
speaking of role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons sucks ass, in my opinion. Absolutely sucks ass. It's more of a role-playing game than a role-playing game. Chucking dice and just reading off cards. Like, I see Corridor Crew have a... I watch all their videos. I do not watch their... I watched one of their Dungeons and Dragons videos, Son of a Dungeon, mostly because it's the only one that's free. But I didn't watch the first promo for the first season. And I watched this one, and it's boring. It's too much rules, in my opinion. Role-playing games should be more about playing the role rather than getting bogged down in rules. Rules are there to help you tell a story, not determine the outcome necessarily. You know what I mean? So if you want a, in my opinion, much better role-playing game, nope, not Simon. Trudvang Chronicles, that's the word. There we go. Trudvang Chronicles. This is a fantastic deep lore role-playing game. They have books on... It's Nordic inspired. They have both the gritty, the down-to-earth areas, but they also have the high-tech areas. They don't have like automation or anything like that, but you know, it's more big cities. So yeah, I'd absolutely recommend looking into this role-playing game if you're into that kind of stuff. I mean, just look at this. I love this style of art. It is fantastic. The game system is easy to understand. In Swedish, it's called, a direct translation is Dragons and Demons. The original rule... you know what? Give me a moment. By the way, this shirt isn't... Yeah, you can see it. Let me do... It's got Atari. It's so washed out that you can hardly see it. But I still like it. Yeah, so... This... There we go. This... It's flipped. I'm not gonna change that. God damn it. I am. Just for this. No, fuck it. I'm not. Yeah, so here, Drakar och Demoner. Dragons and Demons. First edition. I don't know if it's the first... I don't think it's the first print run. I'm guessing those are quite expensive, and I can't really see it if it is. But yeah, this is This is the underlying rules that created the Trudvang Chronicles. The original game was called Drakar och Demoner Trudvang. But it has since become its own rules or its own thing. But yeah, it's fantastic world building in it. I haven't played it in years. But when I used to play more role-playing games before I became more of a board gamer, absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Anyway, back to this.
Recently, my friend Big Joel debated a YouTuber known as The Quartering, whose videos read like sensationalist tabloid articles and center around complaining about Gamergate in 2019, deriding SJWs, and expressing extreme anger about all.
I used to be a Gamergator. I was a Gamergator on the left because I actually believed in the lies. And when I say believed in the lies, I mean believed in the message. I never watched The Quartering. Ever. I unfortunately watched Sargon of Akkad, and I'm thinking of doing a review of Sargon's old videos and juxtapose them to his newer videos or modern videos to try and see if maybe, just maybe, he changed his stance. I haven't dared to watch his old videos because I don't know if he has. And I don't know if I was a complete idiot or not back in the day. But yeah, and once he turned completely right-wing, that's when I dropped him. He doesn't exist anymore. That's it. But yeah, I never watched The Quartering. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing if you did.
Almost any movie or TV show that mostly features women or queer people, especially kids shows. The debate itself mostly centered around The Quartering's perceived hatred of any material featuring LGBT plus people, particularly because that hatred was couched in language like, I don't mind it, I just don't think it's appropriate for kids. Admittedly, I may be a little biased here in my assessment of the debate, but The Quartering was very evasive and either didn't answer or redirected a large number of Joel's questions and concerns. I will say that's not just my opinion, he himself after the stream admitted he ceded too much ground, and many of his fans agreed. With regards to this particular debate, I think it's fair to say that Joel won it. What didn't appear to happen in the wake of that debate, however, was any significant changing of minds. While many of The Quartering's fans were agreeing that he did not communicate his ideas effectively in the debate, those people were still his fans and weren't asserting that he was wrong, just that he didn't perform adequately.
Ethereus Fox, you were wishy-washy. As a content creator, I was horrified that my characters will be changed to push a cultural agenda or brainwash kids. I mean, maybe. I think what you call wishy-washy means I was just vocalizing, trying to understand where he was coming from.
By and large, these people still agreed with the main ideas he espoused, and their main criticism was with how he presented his ideas. Not only that, but after the debate ended, he refused to give Joel access to the footage so he could review it, taking it off of YouTube immediately afterwards and not responding to requests of the footage for over a week. As it turns out, The Quartering forgot to erase the footage on Twitch, but regardless, it means that the conversation, who got to see the debate, the framing of the debate, and the last word of the debate was controlled entirely by him. Because The Quartering controlled that conversation and that debate took place mostly on his own platform, he was effectively able to negate Joel's good faith efforts and bury the evidence. Joel himself has said that he feels like debating The Quartering was a mistake, and I agree. Not because Joel did anything wrong, but because even though he was right and won the debate, The Quartering effectively wasted his time. Even if the debate had happened on Joel's channel, and even if the two had acknowledged that they weren't likely to change each other's minds, I think the harms of debating this guy still would have outweighed the positives. For one, it would...
I haven't watched it, but I'm guessing that Joel didn't hold his feet to the fire. You have to, and when I say that, I mean really explore his ideas. Because, sure, it's hard to convince someone that they're wrong. Like, nobody that you're debating is going to change their mind like that on stream at all. That's going to take time. But sowing seeds of doubt. Let's see here. The Quartering Social Blade. Let's see if we can't find some statistics. When was their debate? Oh, it doesn't go back far enough. October 2019? Really? But the quarter is older than that. Can't change this? No? Oh my god, what just happened? 40,000 subscribers. Doesn't seem like he dropped off much, and I can't go back. I was hoping to be able to see a trend of some sort, but yeah, unfortunately, it's mostly a positive trend, it seems, which is really sad. Really, really sad. Watching the quartering is really... Whew. You have to have some brain damage for that one.
Give him an unnecessary platform to further make claims that attack certain groups, like implications that seeing gay characters on TV is inherently bad for children. I know some people don't like the idea that certain views shouldn't be given platforms, but ultimately I think all interactions are kind of a matter of determining what to platform. If someone comes up to you and says, I think birds don't exist and the earth is shaped like an ice cream cone, you could debate them, but I think most people would agree that treating it like a topic that needs to be debated and taken seriously is ridiculous, and that you could be using your time and energy in much more valuable ways.
Yes.
Not every
Yes. Not everything should be debated. Some things you just need to laugh at them. If someone comes up to me, if a friend tells me they don't believe birds exist and the world is ice cream cone shaped, I'm gonna laugh at them. I'm gonna look them straight in the eyes and I am gonna belly laugh at them. It's gonna, oh my god, I am gonna mock them so fucking hard. Mocking is an effective tool of regulating other people's behavior sometimes. Publicly displaying that what they're saying is laughable, literally, can be effective. Bullying works sometimes.
topic creates quality debates. The same applies here, where it's just a matter of choosing what to prioritize and what to platform. No single person platforms every idea they're exposed to or treats every single thing they hear as debate-worthy, and that's not a reasonable expectation of people. That's not to say every debate topic is inherently unreasonable or unworthy of being given a platform. In fact, I think most aren't, but in cases where both people have relatively reasonable perspectives, I still don't think a debate is usually the best format for that kind of conversation. If your perspectives aren't both reasonable and one or both of you aren't acting in good faith, I think it's self-evident to say that debating them is kind of going to be a waste of time. And if you are both acting in good faith with reasonable perspectives, there are often better alternatives like non-showy conversations that take the focus off of winning while still permitting a dialogue to take place.
I half agree with this. Some people are so bad faith, like Jackson Hinkle and Infrared Haas, the MAGA communists. They are so bad faith. Their audience is so prone. Their audience doesn't care if they win or lose at all. And that's why you can't debate them. The audience has to be... There has to be something on the line if you lose. You know? If it's not, then what the fuck is the point? That part, I agree with that part. I don't think all debates with dishonest actors is going to be unnecessary. Charlie Kirk isn't an honest actor, but he couldn't run from the debate with Tim Pool because on Tim Pool, because Tim Pool and Vosh actually has a good relationship despite their massive disagreements. Despite Vosh critiquing Tim Pool regularly, they seem to have a good relationship because Vosh can joke, Vosh can laugh. If you have a wrong opinion, but you're not vile, sure, I can laugh with you. Oh, you want less regulation, you want lower taxes. Those aren't inherently vile opinions. You think black people shouldn't have rights. You think gay people shouldn't be allowed to adopt. Those are vile opinions. Tim Pool threads the line on what's just wrong and what's vile, in my opinion. His co-hosts, on the other hand, they don't. But Tim Pool and Vosh, they have a good relationship. And because of that, Tim Pool didn't interject when, or didn't side with I was gonna say Kyle Kulinski now, god damn it, Charlie Kirk didn't side with babyface Charlie Kirk on everything, and that made Vosh come out on top in that debate. He came out so much on top that people criticized not just Tim Pool for platforming him, but also Charlie Kirk for not doing better. Charlie Kirk absolutely lost respect from his peers from that. And that is valuable. That is valuable.
That being said, it is true that debates do have the power to change certain people's minds for better or for worse. Like I said in my Ben Shapiro section, if you can't immediately fact-check the guy, his arguments might sound convincing. Certainly, it's possible that that power could be harnessed for good. One YouTuber, who made a particularly profound video about how he was pulled out of his hateful beliefs, cited watching a live-streamed debate wherein some of his own beliefs were challenged and debunked as a jumping-off point for further questioning his views.
Yeah.
I don't want to claim that debates are never able to change people's minds, or that it's impossible that someone can use the format of public debate for doing good. And it is true that if you have the rhetorical ability to make your point sound compelling and convincing, debating with people you disagree with could help expose their audience to your ideas and do some good. But a lot of factors need to be present in order for that to be the correct decision. You need to be a genuinely skilled rhetorician with good intentions, you need neutral ground where one person does not have greater power and control over the conversation than the other, and when it comes to beliefs that could have genuinely harmful effects if given a platform, the benefits of this debate to society in general should vastly outweigh the potential harms. In my opinion, these caveats don't tend to apply to the majority of these sensationalized public debates, which mostly end up being either ineffectual by wasting people's times or actively harmful by acclimatizing people to misinformation that's masked in pretty words. Granted, debates aren't the only way that grifters can couch lies and pseudo-intellectual nonsense to make them seem more palatable, but because debate is considered such a cornerstone of democracy as opposed to like saying your random shit on a blog somewhere, it gives these ideas a greater facade of legitimacy. Thus, generally speaking, I think we should choose to restrict our participation in public debates to those that meet the aforementioned parameters, and we should be devoting similar time and resources to other forms of educative outreach, which, depending on your message and audience, could look like anything from YouTube videos to in-person community engagement.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. Completely agree. Absolutely. I have nothing to add here. Didn't he say... I'm gonna lose my mind. What's his name? Let's go. God damn, there's boobs. Tanky destroys Vosh. Yeah, sure. Shut up. What was his name? Debate Bros bad. Didn't this guy actually say Salari? There we go. Salari TV. Let's see here. What's her name? Sarah with H. No. I thought he mentioned her actually, but it doesn't look like it. Ah, god damn it.
From the perspective of anyone who's been constantly bombarded with debate me, I hope this video can serve as a general argument for why, in most cases, you probably shouldn't engage. If they're a bad faith actor, there are a variety of potential harms, from making you look bad to wasting your time to giving horrible views unnecessary attention that don't make the benefits worth it. And if they're acting in good faith and you're genuinely interested in a conversation, consider using a different form of dialogue that doesn't primarily emphasize winning. On the other hand, if you're an audience...
This... Great point. Absolutely. Stellar. Perfect. No notes. Notes to Salari, to DJ Mule, to every essay bro. Doesn't essay mean bro or brother? I've never Rudolf Hess, oh my god. I've never taken Spanish, so I don't know how to spell it. Let's translate to Spanish. Brother. Spanish. Hesse.
Hesse.
Wait, what? I want... Okay. Yeah, okay. That's it? What? Really? Dude, bro, yeah. Okay. Can we just call them essays? That's, yeah. So, all these essays are completely ignoring this crucial fact. Yes, they shouldn't debate. Fantastic, because they are not skilled debaters. What they're missing is that other people are. And if you are a skilled debater, you can convince others, not the person you're debating, but their audience, that their ideas are trash. There's a reason why Sargon stopped doing debates after his second debate with Vosh. Again, allow me to be an orbiter. There's a reason why he stopped doing debates after Vosh. There's a reason why a lot of people said we shouldn't, or on the right, we shouldn't debate the left after that debate. Because Sargon got so blown out of the water, so demolished, that they lost, they probably even lost some subscribers there. They probably got shit. They didn't feel good. And making them fear someone on the left in a debate, this is a hot take. This is coming in lava hot. It's good. Allowing people having someone they can lean on. H2H3 Ethan bringing on God, I'm horrible with name. Debating Steven Crowder and fuck, what's his name? Sam Seder. And bringing on Sam Seder because Steven Crowder is afraid of Sam Seder is a good thing. Using these people as a bludgeon for others on the left is a good thing to have. Instead, if people tell you as an essay, if people say, hey, debate me, bro, you can just say no. If you want a debate on these issues, go see the Vosh guy. He'll debate you. And they'll go, I don't wanna. Because they're afraid. They're scared. That is a good thing.
Member who genuinely enjoys watching these kinds of debates, I would encourage people to pass a critical eye over them. If you like watching them, I'm not going to tell you to stop, but it's best to take them as what they are, a test of someone's rhetorical skills and potentially their character, but not of their factual correctness. And if you see one public figure refuse to debate another, don't take that as a sign of their cowardice or fear of hearing another opinion. There are a lot of valid reasons to refuse. Honestly, as much as I rag on debates here, I would genuinely encourage anyone who is interested, particularly if you're a student, to check out the world of competitive debating. Like I said earlier, it's a lot more carefully moderated than the public pop culture kinds of debates, and there's actual equity and standards in place to make sure things that are actually contentious are the only things being discussed. So there's no, should we be doing genocide, guys? I also think a lot of people can benefit from learning debate skills.
That's not completely true. NPR competitive debate. There's no transcript, but I believe these guys realized a thing. If it's the same guys, I'm not sure. I believe Atlanta teenagers make history at Harvard debate competition. I mean, it sounds like it's something like that. They realized the topic is World War II, Hitler versus Churchill. Who was right? Whatever. They realized, hey, we can talk about anything here. By making a statement about the social aspects of this and how it relates to blackness. That was their tactic. As long as you can argue it's relevant, it's included. The other team has prepared lots of the topics about strength in tanks and Air Force and the invention of radar technology and Turing and all of that. Out of the water. Has nothing to do there. Why? Because the other team will say, yes, but that's because black people weren't allowed in those institutions. Wait, how do we didn't prepare for this. And that's the kind of way you shoehorn a topic into being relevant.
Even if they're not interested in becoming debaters themselves. A lot of what debating teaches you is critical thinking skills. If you're arguing against someone who's really good at fast talking and verbal switcheroos, you're going to have to learn very quickly to get to the crux of their argument so you can figure out how to refute them. In a world where we're unfortunately exposed to a lot of misinformation in the place of quality arguments, an activity that enables you to better identify and combat it is really helpful. It's also just great for improving your confidence and communication skills, and I can attest to the fact that it's honestly a lot of fun as long as you take it for what it is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to call up some friends and argue about Steven Universe. I'd like to thank CuriosityStream for sponsoring this video.
Her closing arguments, I completely agree with. Absolutely. I'd actually any essays out there who happen to watch this video, and next time you make an essay about Debate Bros, keep this in mind. Okay? Keep this in mind. Depending on how good you are at debating, platforming isn't bad necessarily. Okay? Just keep that in mind. If you're gonna argue like really? Like Solari, this whole video is how debates are bad. Period. Doesn't help at all. That's the whole argument. I was expecting to disagree more with this video because of the title, and that's a good clickbait title. I'm just gonna write that. Okay. Let's see what people are saying. It's always fun. I'm not interested in what she's liking because that's just going to be her being jerked off. He's not trying to be right, he's just trying to... Honestly, that's the main point. Why I don't debate people like Ben Shapiro. Why you don't debate people like Ben Shapiro. Why you don't do it. Sure. Ben says that he doesn't care about debating to find the truth, but right a minute, yeah, she said that. Ben was like 25, turns out he's almost 40. Why is he trying to, taking pride in destroying someone half his age? If you say debate me 3 times, you magically summon Ben Shapiro. Funny. They were so polite and respectful to each other that it took me a while to realize, they were actually debating and not just having a televised conversation. Yeah. That's 2 honest actors debating. That's how it's supposed to be in an honest setting. The issue becomes when people aren't honest. That's where the dirt starts flying. Let's see if she... I do wish she would actually do some debate... what's it called? Reviews. I really wish she did that. Let me just say that. Okay. The reason I wanted to do this, you know what? Before we get to that, I want to, I wanna do one last thing. I want to see what the research is. Sorry, what's research saying? How debate alters the mind? No. NIH? That's not going to be about debate, is it? Why is it so hard to change people's mind? That's how to actually change people's minds. Let's do that. Mindfulness and meditation. That's not right. This might be a good idea. A good how to actually change someone's separate guide. Sorry. I want research. Okay. Harvard Business Review. How long is this? Okay, it's okay. No, that's not gonna be good. Why is it so hard to change people's minds? Our opinions are often based on emotion and group affiliation, not facts. Here's how to engage productively when things get heated. It's probably happened more than once. You spend a lot of time, blah, 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 blah. Why is it so hard? It's a question people puzzle over. While it's easy to conclude that people's views are barometers of their moral elevation. The more nuanced truth is that a broad range of factors help explain deeply entrenched beliefs. Certainly, some partisans are focused on policy issues above all else. But for others, the brain's tendency to stay stay the course may play a larger role. Psychological research suggests that once our minds are made up on important matters, changing them can be difficult as stopping a train hurtling at full speed, even when there's danger straight ahead. I'm sorry for stumbling so much over the words. I am tired. Fortunately, research also hints at solutions. Solutions. Imagine that. Though you may need to change your mind about some things if you want to put these insights to work. Why we resist facts? Most of us have a strong drive to hold on to pre-existing beliefs and convictions which keep us anchored. I'm a Britbonger. Oh, anchored in the world. When your stance on controversial issues both cements your group identity and plants you in opposition to perceived enemies, changing it can exact a high personal toll. We see this a lot with the anti-trans group, like people who follow Tucker Carlson or just the MAGA group in general. Their views on the world is a moral stance, that an identity to them. So challenging that is challenging who they are. And challenging someone on who they are is not going to end well for you. We are social animals instinctively reliant on our tribe for safety and protection, says risk perception expert David. I want to be a risk perception expert. Oh my God. David Ropeik, author of How Risky Is It Really? Any disloyalty literally feels dangerous, like the tribe will kick you out. The effect is magnified in people already worried. Defection, in short, feels as terrifying as stepping off a window ledge, and to a certain extent, this fear is justified. When you think and behave in ways that separate you from members of your close community, you're likely to experience at least some level of exclusion. That is true, and I'm gonna guess on a solution to all this. And that solution is to not shun these people, but allow them to join your group. Oh my God. Yes, there's a risk you will face when you leave that group. However, we will allow you with open arms to join our group as long as you don't hold these views. That's all we demand of you. Do not hold these views. And here's the thing. You do this only, I'm guessing, or in my view, is this. You only do this to people of groups that are large enough to actually affect society. You don't really have to do this with people who hold no political power. Because if they hold no political power, what's really the point? Like, there's a group of 100 people. I mean, sure, I'll still allow them, but I won't debate them about stuff. Because debating those stuff is only going to legitimize it. But when the views they hold is already legitimate, according to society, you need to debate them, and you need to tell them, we will accept you as long as you don't hold these views. Hunter Avalon is a perfect example of this. Ex-criminals is a perfect example of this. The recidivism rate is largely linked to your ability to form new social groups. If you can't shed your or shun your old life, how likely are you to build a new life? If the only friends you have or the only friends you're able to have are neo-Nazis, how likely are you to not be a neo-Nazi? Moving on with the article. There's a certain amount of plain old inertia at work too. Researchers who studied how people resolve cognitive dissonance, the uneasy feeling of holding inconsistent beliefs, note that most people would rather deny or downplay new uncomfortable information than reshape their worldview to accommodate it. From that perspective, it's less surprising that your friends whose behavior towards women is above reproach is more than willing to support politicians who've committed sexual assault. Yeah. Even lukewarm advocates can be resistant to updating their beliefs, since the very act of deciding between alternatives changes the way we evaluate each option. One classic study had subjects look at an array of home gadgets and rate their desirability. After they had made a decision about which one to take home as a gift, say the fluorescent desk light, their opinion of the item they'd chosen tended to rise, while their opinion of left-behind items soured. Sure. In most situations, viewing your own choice through rose-colored glasses is a sensible way of ensuring you stay happy with your decision. But this outlook also skews your perception, meaning that even when you learn eye-opening new information, you may not feel alarmed enough to reconsider your views. When doubts do creep in, they can have a paradoxical effect, leading people to dig in their heels even more. The attacks against Trump have taught me something about myself, one Donald Trump supporter told blogger and entrepreneur Sam Altman. I have defended him and said things I really didn't believe or supported because I was just put in a defensive position. Research bears out the idea that arguers' outward insistence may be inversely related to their actual convictions. In one Northwestern University study, the less confident people felt in their opinions about hot-button issues, whether animal testing is okay, for instance, the more they labored to convince others of their chosen view. In other words, the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less you know about a subject, the more you think you know. Or the less you know about a subject, the more you will try to convince others that you know more. If doubt often prompts people to double down rather than reflect, does that mean it's futile to start a dialogue with those you disagree with? Typical debates, as you've probably discovered, aren't all that effective. And if you start with the explicit goal of changing someone's mind, you're likely to get the opposite result. The reverse is also true. The less you try to force a particular set of views on someone, the freer they'll feel to reflect honestly on what they think, and maybe even revise their thinking down the line. This is the Davis guy. What's his first name? Black blues singer, KKK. Daryl Davis. That's his approach. He doesn't debate neo-Nazis or KKK members. He doesn't debate them. He just befriends them. And then he just asks them questions. This is an excellent approach if you can embody the issue at hand, like Daryl David can, because he's black. Productive exchange is also more likely when there's mutual foundation of respect and friendship. In a project called Between Americans, Seattle-based author and artist Boring Zhang is chronicling the evolution of relationships between Trump supporters and Hillary Clinton supporters over the course of a year. Participants share with each other about more personal topics, but hot-button issues do pop up from time to time, and the strength of the participants' bond often determines the conversation's direction. You definitely need to know the other person as a person to want to stay engaged when things get controversial, Zhang says. In exchange about fraught topics, she advises starting from the assumption that you won't change the other person's views, but she admits that that may be easier said than done. That balance between caring deeply yet seeking to listen rather than change someone's mind is a knife's edge balance. Yeah. A thought popped up in my head as I was reading this about Daryl Davis again. And I think here is why... I believe this is why Vaush is so effective in changing people's minds, actually. There's a lot of people in his community, myself included, that can admit to changing the mind. Now, I was never a neo-Nazi. I was at best a reactionary. Or at worst, I will say, a reactionary. Vaush was really... I was hesitant to listen to Vaush at first, because my experience during the Gamergate movement was that people on the left, especially socialists, were cringe. Plain and simple. They were just cringe. There was no edge to them. There was no humor to them. They were completely devoid of anything fun. And I don't know about you, but I like fun. Fun is very important to me. So when I finally, after being recommended to him by Shoeonhead, who has me blocked now on Twitter for some reason, I still don't know why. When she endorsed him, I was like, wait a minute. I like Shoeonhead's humor. I have disagreements with Shoeonhead politically in some aspects, but I like her humor. If she endorses him, maybe he's not that bad. So I started listening, and lo and behold, he had edge, he had humor, he had charisma. He didn't talk down to people. He actually engaged with people's argument. He didn't just say, oh, that's vile, that's bad. No. He actually embodied, like Daryl Davis does to KKK members by being black, he embodied a socialist who wasn't devoid of humor. And that was very important to me. It showed me, you know what? You can be a socialist and actually have fun. Because most socialists online are boring as fuck. Seriously. Non-compete? I mean, that guy would... I would shoot myself in Minecraft. I guess Roblox. I would Roblox myself if I woke up tomorrow and I was non-compete. I would absolutely Roblox myself. Having humor, having edge, not being so... always thinking of how other people will view you, not always being concerned with the in-group accepting you in all you say, is important. And when Vaush, again, I'm going to be an orbiter, when Vaush debates other people, you see him when they express vile opinions, he tells them it's a vile opinion, but he also tells them why it's wrong. First, he'll tell them that's wrong because X, Y, Z. And if they repeat it, or something similar, he'll just go, that's vile. Because he's already expressed it, and he'll do that in a humorous way. But then, once the conversation tapers down and maybe a topic change or something, he'll go back to being neutral. He'll go back to being friendly. And he almost always, depending on the conversation, he'll go back to being friendly when exiting the conversation as well. He'll say, you know, I had fun, like in his last debate with the Muslim child groomer. He didn't know he was a child groomer before the debate or during the debate. He found that out afterwards. But yeah, in that debate, he had back and forths, and then he found a topic where it was dicey, and he exposed him for who he was, at least to his audience, but probably to their audience as well, or to the audience of the modern day debate at least. Anyway, back to this. How to build bridges. Like the participants in Zhang's project, you can strive to understand your conversation partners in ways that go beyond their views on controversial issues. Talk to them about their early years or about the biggest personal challenges they faced. This is more of a personal thing than online debates. It can be in online debates. I've seen it being used. Their answers may give you unexpected insight into why they behave as they do, and perhaps make it easier for you to empathize with them, despite your misgivings about particular views they may hold. When touchy topics do arise, try a non-confrontational approach, asking open-ended questions. How did you feel when you heard about the US pulling out of the Paris Climate Accords? Or sharing your own experiences. Someone groped me at work and no one believed me when I reported it. So having an abuser in a position of power frightens me. Whether you're discussing the personal or the political, steer clear of language and behavior that signals contempt. By the way, don't do this in an online setting at all. The conservatives is going to use this as a bludgeon rather than empathize with you. If you already have their empathy, yes, you can do this. Don't do it before then, online. Whether you're discussing personal or the political, steer clear of language and behavior that signal contempt. Debaters tend to show contempt for their sparring partners in any number of ways, rolling their eyes, flinging personal insults, and deploying cutting sarcasm. Witness these gambits on social media in spades. Psychologist John Gottman has identified this argumentative style as poisonous to close relationships. Yes, to close relationships. in part because it conveys a devastating message. You, your thoughts, and your views are utterly beneath me. Cutting out contempt doesn't mean tiptoeing around the issue. It's healthy to lay out exactly how you differ with someone else and express your disappointment, or even devastation with particular views they hold. The key is to remain in the debate zone rather than crossing the line into not so veiled disgust. No matter how high-minded your intentions, it can be tempting to turn any dialogue on the issue into game of one-upmanship. But asking questions and showing a genuine desire to hear and acknowledge the answers sets a different tone that boosts the odds of a productive resolution, or at least a friendlier stalemate that inspire further thoughts and discussion. Persuasion that endures isn't a one-sided sales job, but a fertile exchange, one in which your own thinking may evolve in ways you hadn't expected. This is more geared towards, like they said, close personal relationships. Yes, you won't change the person you're debating with's view on the topic if you start flinging insults. You might change someone else's views, though. Also, it can just be fun. Sometimes people are so vile, it can just be fun when you fling insults at them, you know? Oh, got the hiccups. All of this is to say, I want to do a debate review. Now, and this is going to be a segment. This has all been leading up to this moment. Recently, Ana Kasparian, let me do like this and close that. Nope, I won't go here. Okay. Recently, Ana Kasparian did a debate with Prager, Dennis Prager of PragerU fame. I caught the first 5 to 10 minutes, and I had some critique. The whole debate is 30 minutes long, and I'm gonna see how far we can get, and if things pick up from there. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But yeah, let's do a debate review of Ana Kasparian versus Dennis Prager.
To have them on our shows, we ache to debate them, but they won't debate us, and they won't come on our shows, and they won't have us on their shows. I have offered tens of thousands of dollars to any left-wing columnist on the New York Times to debate me anywhere they want. They could choose the moderator, they could choose the audience, and serious money.
Joining us now is...
We just watched the video. My God.
This video is brought.
We just watched this video where she goes over why what he's doing is dishonest. He has experience debating while the New York Times.
Thousands of dollars to any left-wing columnist on the New York Times.
Any left-wing columnist on the New York Times. This is a dishonest tactic through and through. And like Sarah Z said, God, that's hard. Accepting debate just because someone offers it is probably not the best idea. probably not the best. If you're a right-winger, however, you should accept all debates from anyone who offers it, through and through. If you're a left-winger, do not do that.
Times to debate me anywhere they want. They could choose the moderator. They could choose the audience. And serious money.
Joining us now is Dennis Prager, the man you just saw in that.
And I don't know if Anna Kasparian is the best debater, unfortunately. I do not know.
Video. And Dennis, I guess you could call TYT acetaminophen because we don't want you to ache. We want to make sure we give
Let's not speed it up that much.
you an opportunity to feel good by debating someone on the left.
Funny, 'cause I was thinking, if only you were a New York Times columnist, how much money you'd be making now.
Well, I'm a little more honest than a New York Times columnist, so this will be a great conversation. Thank you for doing it. So I wanted to.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So I wanted to just kind of start off with, I guess, disagreeing with the notion that the left is afraid to have these kinds of discussions or debates. In fact, you had tweeted that video that we started this conversation with, and there were a lot of responses from prominent individuals on the left. I want to give you a few examples, starting with Vosh, who's a big Twitch streamer. He's got a big YouTube channel as well. He says, "You couldn't be more wrong. I love spirited debate in the free marketplace of ideas." He even provided his email and would love to have that conversation with you. My good friend Ben Burgess also responded. He's a great guy. He says, "Hi Dennis, I'd be delighted to chat with you either on my show or you could host it through PragerU, or I'm sure Modern Day Debate or some other neutral platform would be happy to host it." And on multiple occasions, I noticed that Sam Seder would also love to debate you. So he responded in that tweet as well, saying available and adding, Tim Pool knows what lengths he would go to not even be on the same stage as me, right, Tim? So there's some drama with Tim Pool, but just wanted to let you know you don't have to ache anymore. There are lots of people on the left who want to debate you.
And the people who are willing to debate him on the left are people who are skilled debaters. I'm not sure about Ben Burgess, but Sam Seder is absolutely a skilled debater. Vosh, like I've said, is absolutely a skilled debater. Dennis Prager isn't going to do that, which unfortunately is probably why he's on TYT. That's probably why.
Oh, I have no doubt that there are a lot of people on the left. The issue that I raised was people at the New York Times and people like you, for example. You pleasantly surprised me by doing this, to be perfectly honest. And by the way, I think proof of my theory is a piece that I read on some left-wing or progressive site just today about how angry many of your viewers are that you're having me on. Whereas I will tell you, I would get no such feedback from the right if I had a left-wing person on my show. They would be thrilled. So I still stand by my belief that
which is a culture that we need to change.
The people certainly in the higher echelons of the left don't want to debate, but it's probably not worth debating whether there would be such a debate. I presume we're having one now,
yes,
and
yes.
I'm glad we are.
Well, look, the left isn't a monolith. There's a lot of disagreement on the left. There's certainly a lot of disagreement on things that I say on this show on various issues, even when it comes to crime. I'm sure you've noticed some of the backlash I've received in that regard as well. However, I will say there is a reason why the right wing tends to be more open to having these kinds of discussions and debates, and the left wing gets a little uneasy about it. And it's because there has been this prevalence of prominent figures who identify as the left, right, or on the left, who then later start to, cozy up to right-wing figures, and then it turns out that they completely move to the right wing because they're essentially paid to do it. They're used as tools by the right wing to essentially spew right-wing talking points while purporting to still be on the left. In fact, Dave Rubin's a great example of that. Dave Rubin used to work with us. He identified as someone on the left.
Dave,
yeah, go ahead.
Forgive me, Anna. Dave Rubin made a video for PragerU, why I left the left.
Oh, I know.
He does not, in fact, state to the world that he's still on the left. I don't know who you have in mind, so I can only address the one name that you gave. Dave Rubin acknowledges he's not on the left.
It's interesting because if I recall correctly, you had a conversation with Dave Rubin and how incredibly important it was that he was engaging in these discussions with you.
By the way, so far, the first 5 minutes, perfectly fine. Anna is doing great. She's holding Dennis Prager's feet to the fire. She's not accepting what he's saying at face value. She's pushing back, but she's doing so in a good faith manner.
Discussions with the right wing, and you stated something very specific. I actually want to go to that video, and I want to get your thoughts. Maybe you can elaborate on what you meant in this video. Let's watch.
want you to continue to say you're a liberal because you're of great use to good values.
Well, don't worry, I'm not doing it for your use
I
of me.
know
I'm doing it for myself.
No.
Yeah.
It's like Christians who say to me, we would love you to come to Christ, but you are so valuable to us as a Jew when you defend us Christians. Yeah. And they're right. You are valuable in the best sense of the word because America needs people who are clearly liberal and to be honest, and fall into the category of kosher as gay.
By the way, completely non sequitur. Dennis Prager, frequent cigar smoker, comfortable with holding the cigar, waving his arms around. Notice Dave's hands. Notice them.
Yeah. To say, hey, hello, the conservatives are not hate mongers. Hello, they should be heard. And maybe every so often you should read National Review or watch a PragerU video.
So, Mr. Prager, you can understand why members of the left would feel a little uneasy when these discussions take place, because usually it's a sign that someone on the left got lured in with some billionaire cash, like Dave Rubin did.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an unfair statement. I don't accuse people on the left of having their positions because of money, and I don't think you should do that with regard to conservatives. Alan Dershowitz is not a right-winger, but Alan Dershowitz has said to me, this Harvard professor who's very well known, he's lost all his friends because he defended Donald Trump in court. He didn't even vote for Donald Trump. Just merely defending his right to have a defense was enough for him to lose his friends. The assumption on the left is that if you're a conservative, you're a despicable human being. And this is a perfect example. The only reason Dave Rubin would have done it was for money. I don't know anybody on my side of the spectrum who holds their positions because of money. There's a hell of a lot more money on the left anyway.
Really?
If you want to get
money.
How
is PragerU funded?
Completely dishonest. Completely dishonest. However, I don't think this is the best line for Anna to go down. And that's because you can't prove it unless someone says it. Unless someone has admitted to just holding these views for clout, like Hinkleberry. If you don't have that proof, you can't really say that. Now, I believe it. I will say it right here and now. Like, yeah, Dave Rubin, obviously, Jimmy Dore, obviously, they hold the views they do today because of the money. Obviously, you can analyze the timeline of them changing their views, the money rising, the viewership, which is why having a good moral compass is important. So anyway, that's an answer. But yeah, I don't think this is the best line for Anna to go down based on that. We don't know. We can only speculate.
Washington Post.
How is PragerU funded?
Washington Post by people on the.
How is TYT funded, Anna? TYT funding. Let's go here. I don't want some. Crowdfunding. Oh. $20 million in venture capital funding. This was 2017. I don't know how it looks today. But yeah, not the best line
of internet and by wealthy donors. But PragerU is pittance compared to the money that is available just to BLM. How much money was given to Black Lives Matter by the Ford
Not by
Foundation
billionaire donors. They certainly received quite a bit of money from individuals who wanted to donate to that cause. Okay. But if you think there's a lot of money on the left, I mean, you would be mistaken. But I do want to move off this because there are.
And here is where she wants to move off it. She was unfortunately the one that brought this up. She was the one that brought up this line of inquiry.
Actual topics, issues that are worth discussing.
The richest zip codes vote Democrat. The wealth today in America is disproportionately
That doesn't mean anything.
on behalf of Democrats and the left wing. That's either a fact or not. Anybody could look it up.
But again, this line of questioning is, I mean, he's not wrong, is he? He's completely correct that the rich people, you saw this with Martha's Vineyard, they are liberals through and through. Oh my God. However, still a bad line of inquiry from Anna. It's not just because the people who vote liberal tend to be more wealthy doesn't mean they give that wealth to political mouthpieces. I wish they did, but they don't.
There's a difference between voters in wealthy parts of the country and who ends up serving as donors, both for politicians, corporate politicians, of course, and for right-wing media. If you think left-wing media has major billionaire donors, again, you'd sadly be mistaken. But the information regarding PragerU, which, by the way, you're listed as an organization that's tax exempt, correct? And you're not supposed to be talking about political issues. But last time I checked, PragerU talks about a lot of political issues.
Well, then you haven't checked in a long time. For example, we never did a single video on Donald Trump, and that's not exactly political. We just did we put out a video a week. So we have 500 videos out about, and we just put out one on Millard Fillmore. If you consider that political, most people never heard of it. We're doing every single president. Many of our videos, probably at least half, are purely educational. So to tell you about every president, for example, Democrat or Republican, by some noted historian, it's a caricature of PragerU for you to say that we are largely political.
PragerU describes itself as conservative. Like it's a conservative take, which by the nature of it being conservative is political. But listen, it is what it is. I do want to move on to other issues because there are actual political issues that you're here to discuss.
You can't make a point and then not be responsive.
Okay,
and he's correct there.
Yes, you can be conservative, for example, socially, and not specifically. Politically generally means vote Republican. We don't tell people to vote anyway in any direction. But yes, we do believe that America is the finest country ever founded. If that makes us political, we're political.
So I want to move on to other statements you've made, other issues. You do focus on culture war related issues, your distaste, hatred for secularism. I want to start off without putting words in your mouth. To show a video of something you said just yesterday on the Dennis Prager show that I thought was fascinating. So let's take a look at that. And
so here, I haven't watched further than this. Because, yeah, I don't think Anna handled the first 10 minutes of this debate as well as she could have. She started off a bit too abrasive. I'm not beyond sexism. Okay, let's just put that out there. I'm not beyond sexism. This might be a bit of sexism. However, we live in a sexist society. You have to factor that in. You can't assume we live 50 years in the future where equality is more realized than it is today. You can't assume that. So you have to tailor how you sound based on that, unfortunately. So I don't think Anna Kasparian came off as good as she could have in the beginning. Usually when I watch debates that I think are, unless they have some prior interaction which makes them more antagonistic towards each other, I think you should start off with more friendly discussion, more friendly tone. Unfortunately for Anna, Dennis Prager has a lot of history of saying horrible and vile things. So she comes into it with that knowledge, which colors how she speaks to him. Dennis Prager's audience, however, they don't agree with her, which is why she has to expose him for how vile he is until at which point she can have a more antagonistic, more direct approach to his personality, let's say.
We'll discuss.
The computer sticker phenomenon is crazy. It was actually one of the biggest shocks.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
On your computer right here, people, instead of just having a blank back,
I see.
they would
Send
put
messages.
Yes. It would either
and
be
what was the common message?
I heart women or just the female sign, the circle and
Wait,
the arrow.
I heart women on a woman's computer?
Yes.
All of this is proof to me that women need men. These women...
What? Because they have stickers?
Women are manless. They may have hookups, but they're manless. And they might have been fatherless too. Ending with my generation, I would say, ending with the baby boomers, but certainly through then, a young woman thought a lot about, do I have a boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
What will my wedding be like? What will I wear? Who will be there? Who will the guy be? That I believe is healthy and normal for a young woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing. That has been knocked out by the feminist left. And if you think about it, you're a weak female.
Again, Anna, remember, his audience don't see this as a bad thing. They don't necessarily agree with the underlying message, all of them. Most of them probably do, but not all of them. And the way I would approach this, now I might not be right in this. I could be completely off. Maybe she does approach it this way. But based on her expression here, and based on the prior interaction, she isn't going to approach this in a good way, in my opinion. What I would say here is I would try to make him be more explicit. Because what he said is, people are lonely. What's so hard with that? What's so harmful? From his audience perspective, that's what they hear when he says this. People are lonely. Hookup culture makes people lonely, which there is some truth to. But yeah, so you have to make him be more explicit in this. And the way you do that is you have to be more friendly. Can you tell me what you meant by this? Have him talk about how he doesn't enjoy gay culture. He doesn't like it. And then ask him, well, aren't you friends with Dave Rubin? And you get him down that path and you expose him as a hypocrite. As someone who hates his own friends. I don't know how many people that's going to convince on his side, because his people are already horrible people. Most of them. But again, if they change their minds, we let them in. Moving on.
So fascinating statements there. You seem to believe that women who love themselves, who love women, who feel confident about being women, tend to be manless and lonely. Do you genuinely think that? Do you think I'm manless and lonely? I think women rock.
I said that in general, women need men, and I've said 1,000 times that in general, men need women. The fact that that's controversial is a statement about what's happened to our culture.
But you got triggered by a story about women who have laptop stickers that just say positive things about women. Your mind immediately went to...
I was wrong. I thought she was going to attack him for the message he was saying She actually attacked him for his reaction. That's a good. That I like that. I like that. It's because his side always talks about how triggered snowflakes the left is. Here, he was a triggered snowflake, and Anna is attacking that. Good. Excellent inquiry here.
They might have daddy issues, and they're lonely, they need men. I want to understand her thinking. Like, what? How do you get to that conclusion?
It's if you had a heterosexual man, with 97% of men are heterosexual, with a sticker "I love men," you would wonder why. Why don't men have stickers "I love men"? But you think it's perfectly normal and a non-issue that women would have stickers "I love women." What is the point of saying that? It is worthy of a question. And I don't think that 50 years ago this would have been, obviously there were no laptops then, but I don't think it would have been a common sentiment. I don't understand why women would need to announce "I love women" if they're not a gay woman. You tell me.
Who cares? Why is that any of his issue? Who cares?
I'm curious. What does that signify?
Well, I mean, listen, as an individual who values free speech and freedom of expression, I think that women and men can have whatever laptop stickers they want.
I was completely wrong. Bad opening from Anna. Excellent continuation. Excellent continuation. I wonder if how many people outside of TYT watches this. If they do, and if they get past the first 10 minutes, I think Anna's line of questioning will sow a seed of doubt in their head. Because, listen.
Speech and freedom of expression, I think that women and men can have whatever laptop.
Because what she's doing here, she is tailoring her message, her values, in a way that speaks to conservatives. That's a great way to question this.
Top stickers they want. And the reason why there is a difference between men and women in regard to those laptop stickers is because, I mean, when you really think about it, women didn't have the right to vote for a very long time. Women didn't even have the ability to apply for a credit card until the 1970s. There have been equality issues when it comes to men and women. Now, we're getting a lot better, that's for sure. But first of all, I don't agree that women have laptop stickers that just simply say, "I love women." It's probably some sort of empowering statement for women. But that doesn't translate to, "Oh, I'm a lonely, manless person, and I should go back to the good old days when women sat around thinking about whether or not they're gonna." She controls the flow of the conversation here, and right now she is grandstanding. Unfortunately, that's not gonna make people be open to her words. They're just gonna sit here like I felt right now, actually. What's Dennis' response to all of this? I want to hear how Dennis, because we already know Anna's argument. We already know Anna's argument. Why does this matter? People have free speech. I like free speech. I like freedom. You purport to like freedom. Why does this matter? Why did it trigger you? We already know that. Why? So he's trying to interject because she's grandstanding, and he's signaling to her, "Finish your point, finish your sentence, and let me speak." Bad look, Anna, unfortunately. Find a husband and get married. You seem to push your values and your views on relationships onto other people.
Let him speak.
And what I'm trying to get you to understand is, rather than making generalizations about what's best for women,
all this after
maybe allow people to live their lives as they see fit, have a belief system as they see fit. Why do you feel the need to force your beliefs onto other people?
Go ahead. First of all, okay, I don't understand the word force. The fact that you think that if I offer my opinion, I'm forcing people to adopt it is a bit odd.
You don't believe that America should be secular.
Okay.
So what does that mean?
Wait. Let me finish that point.
Sure, go ahead.
I believe that I have the right, as you do, to offer people thoughts on what might be a better and happier life for them. I've written a book on happiness, which has touched a lot of lives if one wants to read the reviews on Amazon. I believe, again, that in general, of course, every generalization has exceptions. Most women will have a better and happier life with a good man, and most men will have a happier and better life with a good woman. I don't know why that is controversial to state. All I know is that having adopted the view that career is more important than marriage has led to more depressed women than anything that preceded it. There are more young women today depressed than at any time in American history. This is in the New York Times. This is not from a right-wing source. I think feminism has made women more miserable than happy.
So I'm going to address that in just a second, but I want to address what you said prior to that very quickly. So listen, I don't have a problem with someone saying women are likely to be happier in life if they find a partner to share their life with. I don't think that that's a controversial statement. What is controversial is you seeming to imply that feeling confident or supportive toward women and being happy, single or in a relationship, that it's mutually exclusive. Like you can't be supportive of women and have a happy life.
I don't know if I like this message, because Dennis Prager isn't saying, or he's not explicitly saying, women shouldn't support other women necessarily. He just believes that lesbians shouldn't exist. That's his core argument. That's what you should attack.
Weird connection that you tried to make there makes no sense. What was the final thing that you said?
I was speaking about the depression among women in today's time.
That's a great point. And you know what? That's right. There's actually increasing rates of depression and anxiety among men and women. I think that's important to point out. And you are concluding.
This is why I like Anna. I've had my issues with Cenk for ages. Anna have always come across to me as someone with a good moral compass. She doesn't ignore male suffering. And that's one of the reasons why I liked Vaush as well. He never ignored male suffering. He's never ignored male suffering. He's put it into context, but he doesn't ignore it. A lot of people on the left likes to just ignore it, tell them to man up, which is really strange to me. It's always been really strange to me. I used to be a men's rights activist. Don't tell this anyone, please. However, I was a left-wing men's rights activist. Very important. Because I believe in equality. Very important. Very, very important. I just thought, you know what? Feminism got the female thing covered. They got women down. They got their backs. I didn't see them have men's backs in a lot of issues. And I tried when I was fairly prominent men's rights activist here in Sweden. Fairly prominent, actually. On that scene. I didn't see a lot of women, a lot of feminists care about failing male grades, for example. And I found that very strange. Very strange. Anyway, that's why I like Anna. That's my point. I like Anna because she's always kept it real. Always. She's called out Cenk for ignoring male suffering, for example, on air.
That it's because of, I guess, the breakdown of the traditional families and people who remain single.
I think that the belief that many young women have,
Anna, great,
that they
you made your point, allow them to speak.
But the thing that will really bring them joy in life is career. Has misled massive numbers of women into a less happy life. Career is not as terrific as the feminists
says the
portrayed
career
it
guy
as being.
Mm-hmm.
The joy available for most women with a good husband and making a family is incomparably more than from a career.
Have you considered some of the economic issues within this country that don't really give women a choice as to whether or not they should focus on a career?
That's a very real issue. I fully acknowledge that. That if you don't have a career to fall back on and there's a divorce, that you're entirely right. That is not the same thing as saying career is going to give you a great deal of meaning and happiness like a marriage will. You're entirely right. Economically speaking, there is value in having a fallback career. I fully acknowledge that.
But I'm going further than that, because the idea that a family can live in a single income household today is laughable. That is incredibly difficult to do. And so while the right wing and you yourself seem to have this idea that, well, women should focus on marriage, they should focus on building a family. First of all, you can't force anyone to do that, right? But let's say you want to encourage women to focus on that. You want to give them the choice, but you want to encourage them. A great way to encourage them is to create an economic system in which people feel comfortable knowing that they can survive on a single income household. I'm talking about when they're married, okay? Both individuals in a marriage have to work in order to be able to pay their rent, pay their mortgage, put food on the table for their children, educate their children. Wages have remained stagnant since the 1970s. Women don't have a choice as to whether or not they can work or whether or not they should just focus on raising children.
I love this line of questioning from Anna. It's an obvious line of questioning, but I like it. And I think she delivers it in a great way here. She identifies a one aspect of his core argument. Women should focus on marriage. Okay, that's your opinion. Fine. But how do you allow them to focus on marriage? The right has no solutions to this. Zero solutions to this.
They don't have the choice. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Right, and we differ on that because the reason that many women, not all, but perhaps most even, are working is not just economic, especially certainly in the upper class, upper middle class, and even part of the middle class. It is because they believe that their self-worth derives more from work than it does from family. If a girl got up in a high school or college class, let's say a professor or a teacher said, so women, I mean, to the extent that they can now say that, because you can't say boys and girls in many elementary schools, because we're told by your side that sex is not binary. But let's say they say, we'd like the women in this class, please stand up and tell us what your vision for your life is. If a girl got up in a college class and said, to be honest.
Vad snackar du om?
My greatest hope in life is for a good marriage and to make a family. She would be regarded as almost...
Yeah, why are you going to college then? What's the fucking point of going to college if all you want is a good marriage? If that's your life goal? If that's your life's goal, awesome, go for it. Have fun, find your husband. God damn, is he ugly. Find your husband and be happy. But why would you go to college if that's your life goal? I hope Anna asks him that. I doubt he might spill some more vile shit, but who knows?
A freak.
Would she? What is that based on?
Yes,
what evidence do you have to back that up?
That's true.
I live in the real world.
So do I.
Okay, and you believe that if a girl got up and said that, she would be regarded with the same respect as the girl who said, I'd like to be a physicist?
I believe that most normal people are too busy thinking about how they need to survive and are less concerned about the aspirations of individuals in their classroom.
Yeah.
And so if you have data backing up that women who want to be homemakers are persecuted in this country, I'd love to see that data.
Well.
And I wouldn't agree with that persecution.
I never said they're persecuted.
You seem to imply that they're being victimized by wanting to be homemakers, and I just don't buy it.
Okay, fine, so good. This is a classic example of what I say on my radio show. I prefer clarity to agreement. You think that a girl who got up in a college class and said my most fervent dream is to have a happy marriage and a family will be regarded with the same respect as a girl who said I'd like to be a physician or a physicist? We differ. Perfect. Okay.
All right, and again, if you have data backing up what you're saying, then I'm happy to admit I'm wrong.
Data? The teachers don't do this and then set it to a computer.
So you're just declaring, you're making up stories.
Good line of questioning from Anna. I like it. It's strong. It's direct. It exposes him as just saying stuff. Just believing and expressing it, and therefore it is. I like this.
Stories about how women are treated in the classroom, and we're just supposed to buy it? Okay.
We're each giving the perception of reality that we have. Not every...
No. You made, Dennis Prager, you made a affirmative. You took an affirmative stance. It is the burden of proof is on you. Prager University. You have university in your channel name, and you do not know that.
Perception of reality has a database. Otherwise, one is a functional moron if one cannot make conclusions about life without data.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to right-wing violence.
Good.
Following the
Good,
Buffalo
Anna.
supermarket
Great.
shooting, which of course was inspired by a belief in a conspiracy theory that whites are being replaced with
limited
minorities in
time.
this country purposely to keep Democrats in power. You felt the need to kind of downplay right-wing extremism in this country. And you said, quote, "This man represents such an infinitesimally small segment of the white population." Now, while that statement might be literally true, I don't think that the white population in America mostly consists of domestic terrorists, so I agree with you on that. It seems like you kind of want to brush aside the very real problem we're having in this country with political violence, politically motivated violence, and I want to give you a few other examples. For instance, the Southern Poverty Law Center did a poll and found that 7 out of 10 Republican voters believe in that white replacement conspiracy theory. Are you concerned about that at all?
Good. Good line of questioning. No grandstanding. You gave one example. You said, you know what? I want to give one more. You gave it. It's short. It's quick. It's poignant. Good line of questioning, Anna.
Right now, we have had, I believe, 2 million illegal immigrants, and the Democratic president of the United States has opened our border.
Nothing to do with the question.
There was attempt to close the border to illegal immigration. So I will ask you, and I mean this not even as a challenge. I'm curious. Why do you think people on the left want millions of people to come in legally or illegally?
Well, let's first discuss the inaccuracies in your statement. Number one, there are legal means to immigrate into the United States. So, for instance, the asylum seekers who are being used as political pawns by people like Texas Governor Greg Abbott, I'm not done, or Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis.
Good. You haven't made your point yet. You've just made a statement. I like this. It's not grandstanding yet. However, because of the first 10 minutes, I believe his audience, if they ever see this, if they ever come 24 minutes into the video, they will probably see this as grandstanding, unfortunately.
They came into this country seeking asylum, meaning they are here legally, and they are awaiting a federal judge, an immigration judge, to make a decision about their asylum status. Okay, so the idea that the border is open and people are just pouring in illegally is inaccurate.
Yes, no, it is accurate.
No, it's inaccurate.
Good. So this is a perfect example of where we differ and there's no reconciling.
However, the first thing Anna said was, first let's discuss your things. And then she realized, you know what, I have answers to this. She gave them, but now they're no longer discussing right-wing extremism, extremist violence. I don't like that. Anna should have said, you know what, that's a different topic. We're discussing this.
Either you're right or I'm right. Either millions are coming in illegally, but whom you are calling legal because they're all seeking asylum. Do I hear you correctly?
We have a system in place for asylum seekers. So are you saying that we should do away with that system? And if you are saying that, then it would require members of Congress to pass legislation that reforms our immigration system. But I mean, I think you'll agree with the statement. Members of Congress have no interest in passing any legislation or engaging in any immigration reform. We have companies and businesses that are exploiting undocumented immigrants for cheap labor, and they have no recourse. That exists. But they love the theater. Members of Congress love the theater.
For the record, I spit on corporations. They are woke and they are abusive of labor at the same time. So you're not going to get any defense from me or any conservative of big corporations. I can't stand that. The fact that Disney will not even allow people at their amusement parks to say boys and girls anymore gives you an idea of how sick they have become in the wokeness of this non-binary evil. And that I do believe is evil.
he's not wrong that there are people who say these things. There are people who express this view. The amount of people expressing that view is guaranteed. This is my feeling of the world. The amount of people expressing that view is infinitesimal compared to right-wing extremism today. Infinitesimal.
To tell little children you don't know if you're a boy or a girl until you decide, do you think that's healthy?
I think it's unhealthy to spend the amount of time you spend in judging decisions that parents make about their own children. I think it's none of your business. I don't think it's anyone's business. And schools are not doing anything close to what the right wing is describing. I mean, it is amazing because you talk about Alan Dershowitz, who had written a column in the New York Times about how it should be okay to have sex with underage girls, okay? You don't call him a groomer, but you'll call our educators who have done nothing wrong, just want to create an environment that's welcoming to all students. You'll call them groomers, you'll defame them as some sort of sexual predators, and it's unacceptable. Just being clear about that.
I never called them groomers. You have the wrong guy. But a teacher that has...
Ooh, then Sprague groomers. Has he never? Ooh.
Because this is one thing else, or mutilated. Yeah. Oh, grooming, such a strong word.
People on his platform has probably said it.
Thanks, Mr. Prager. I really want your piece of Imperial Germany. Do you want me to be specific? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you would elaborate on
children, children, church, and Kinderkirche, and children, church, and
I think that was a net positive, and also.
Or optimism. I don't blame you at all for it. Doesn't make the.
No, okay. So maybe he hasn't said it himself. People on his platform bearing his name absolutely have said it for sure.
The kids in kindergarten attend a drag queen story hour to see a guy in a dress dancing erotically in front of them. Those teachers are what we would have called 10 years ago sick. They are depriving children of sexual innocence. And if that's not a sin on the left needs to do a lot of introspection.
I would love for you to apply standards like that to the former president of the United States, who you supported, who you endorsed. You have completely minimized some of the scandals that he was involved in, including paying hush money to adult entertainers he had cheated on his pregnant wife with. I'm bringing that up because you have this weird standard when it comes to our educators, but no standards when it comes to a person who leads the country, who children look to as a role model. But anyway, we only have a few more minutes left.
No. If you throw out a point, you have to allow me to respond.
Okay, go ahead. We're running out of time. We have a hard out, so go ahead.
When I was a child, my father didn't say to me, I want you to look to Lyndon Johnson as a role model. This notion that the president's private life, John F. Kennedy had orgies at the White House. Okay, do you speak about that? I don't care about presidents' private lives, you do. I care about sexualizing children, you don't.
I care about fighting back against lies regarding educators sexualizing children. That is not happening, but you guys do love to defame educators who are already underpaid, undervalued, and should be treated a lot better in this country. So I would love to continue this conversation. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. I'd love to invite you to our members-only bonus episode if you're willing to stay for another 30 minutes. I don't know if you're open to that.
Yeah, I am.
Fantastic. Okay, great.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it.
I'm not a member, so I won't be able to watch. Yeah, I think the intro did Anna dirty in this one. The rest of the debate, I think Anna did excellent, absolutely excellent. The first 10 minutes, though, she grandstanded. She said they were going to move on, but then she kept going, and then she said we're going to move on again, and then it didn't happen. That's why I was afraid it was going to be a lot more of a shit show than it was. But no, Anna did fine, except towards the end where she let him go on the right-wing extremism. I think she should have kept to the topic because he changed the topic. Since he changed the topic, it's obvious it's something he doesn't want to talk about, which means it's something you should talk about. Yeah. Overall, I'm gonna say she gets a B+. B+, absolutely. Overall, it was a good discussion. It was a good debate. She hammered in on. She used topics, or she. Oh my God. She structured her question in a way that would make Prager's audience trusting, or not trusting, what's the word I'm looking for? God damn it. She asked questions in a way that sounded like they could, God damn it. She structured the questions in a way that appealed. That's the word I'm looking for. She structured the questions in a way that appealed to the right. And that is key, I believe. But yeah, B+, absolutely. And that's great for someone who doesn't do a ton of debates, really. She's not famous for being a debater. She's done a few high-profile debates. TYT is high-profile enough that they can get Dinesh D'Souza and people like that on their show, and obviously Dennis Prager as well. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah. And that is today's stream. I don't know when I'll be streaming next time. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, I am having my girlfriend move in here. Scary stuff. And that's gonna change the layout, and the desk is gonna have to move into the hallway. I'm gonna try. Lights and shit is gonna have to change though, probably. I can't just have them up like I usually do. These lights are never go down. They are always erected because I am lazy. Hopefully in the future, if ever I get enough views that I can justify it, I will have them up all the time. By then, hopefully, I will also have a 3-room apartment. What do you call it? 2-bedroom apartment. Hopefully. And one of the rooms can be used by me to stream. If I'm ever so lucky. Anyway. Hope you're having a fantastic evening, morning, day, night, whenever you see this. And I'll catch you in the next stream. Bye-bye.